In this day and age where especially the younger generation is into blocking, ghosting, stonewalling, the silent treatment, right? Unfriending people, unfollowing people as a means of handling conflict. This is so damaging because your brain does not know the difference between physical pain and emotional pain. So if you are causing somebody emotional pain, they're going to perceive it as physical pain. Or if you're wondering, why is it I feel pain inside? Maybe your heart, like it's a stabbing pain in your heart or a lump in your throat. But why do I feel physical pain when somebody blocks me or ghosts me or unfollows me or unfriends me or excludes me? That's a big one. Drop in comments if you grew up being excluded from the parties, right? Everybody else was invited, but you weren't invited. That's me right here. And it still bothers me to this day when that happens. I have a lot of healing to do on that. And so the pain receptors in your brain don't know the difference. Your brain isn't saying, oh, this is okay. This is emotional pain. We don't have to worry about this pain. No, your brain perceives pain as pain. It does not know the difference between emotional pain and physical pain. So today I'm going to help you with biblical ways, the 4 steps that God says to take when you have a grievance against someone, when you have an issue with someone, when you have a problem with someone. And guess what? None of those involve blocking, ghosting, unfriending, or unfollowing. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Lisa Czak. This is Worthy Woman Healing Podcast. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. And thank you to all of our subscribers. I want to give you a free gift. Click the link below if you want to end anxiety, if you want to be able to start off your day every day deciding how you want to feel. No matter who's blocking you or ghosting you or doing whatever it is they're doing to you, you get a choice in how you want to feel every single day. Click the link below to get your free gift. So in Matthew 18, chapter 18, 15 through 17, God is very specific about how he says to handle when you have a grievance against someone. And I'm going to read this to you. This is Matthew 18, 15. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault. So between you and him alone. Do you see what that is? He's not saying go tell all your friends and call on the phone and badmouth him, whatever. No, he's not saying ghost him, go silent on him, tell him you want to go no contact. That is not of God. Go tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother or your sister in this instance, whatever it might be. So do you see? Step 1, go directly to the person, just the 2 of you, and tell them, hey, I got a problem with you. Did you ever see George Costanza, the Festivus episode, right? Frank Costanza, get out the Festivus poll, just the 2 of you. We're going to air our grievances right here, right now. Then God, this is the second step. So if he does not listen to you after you go to him directly and say, hey, I got a problem with you, this is it. If he doesn't listen, take 1 or 2 others along with you so that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. Notice it says witnesses. These are not participants. These two people you're taking along with you are not participating in the conversation. The conversation is still between you and that person. Okay, that has got to be very clear, because if you bring the wrong people into this scenario, you bring in somebody with a really dominant personality, or someone who wants their voice to be heard, even though they're not part of it, it's going to be a mess. So remember, these 2 or 3 people you're inviting in are witnesses, okay? Then, the third step, if he refuses to listen to them, meaning you brought these witnesses in, they're not participants, they're witnesses, but if the person still isn't willing to meet with you, isn't willing to listen to you, and then you bring in the church, okay? You bring in other words, maybe a therapist, a pastor, a mediator, some objective third party. You're not bringing in people who are not part of the issue. You are still having it between you and that person, but you're bringing in someone of sound mind, some wise counsel to guide this process along, to resolve this conflict. You are only as sick as your secrets. It is time to stop suffering in silence and join other women who are also on a healing journey, who are being raw, real, vulnerable, and honest with what they are going through in their life, what they have been through in their life. And wherever 2 or more are gathered, we know God is with us. It says it right there in the Bible. So there is power to group healing. Miracles happen in there. You have one woman sharing, opening up her heart. Suddenly everyone else in the group is saying, yeah, I've experienced that. I'm not the only one. There's such power in knowing that you are not alone in your suffering. You are not alone in your healing. And we meet twice a month. And in between those times, a lot happens, right? And it's important that you have time in between the sessions to practice the healing technique that I teach you, so you can come back into the group and celebrate with the other women. Hey, I actually remembered to do the healing technique in that moment. That trigger didn't derail me anymore. But it's practice. I'm also a personal trainer, right? You don't just get a 6-pack abs by doing one sit-up. You have to keep doing it over and over again. You don't run a marathon. You don't go out and run 13.1 miles for a half marathon the first time, right? You practice running a little bit every day. And that is what we do in Worthy Woman Healing Group. Join today and tell yourself, I'm going to give this a 3-month commitment minimum, because I know I need time to practice outside of these sessions, and come in and get guidance from the other women on how to actually heal all of these wounds, heal my mind, body, and soul, one trigger at a time. You are worth it. This is the hard part, okay? So this is the 4th thing. If he refuses to listen to even the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. What does that mean, Lisa? I like my accountant. What is a Gentile? This is how people get tripped up with the Bible, right? So the 4th step is the hardest, especially if it's someone you love. What that 4th step is telling you, what God is saying, if this person that you have an issue with refuses to listen to even the church and still won't go to you directly, right? Maybe they're still saying, nope, I'm not meeting you directly. I'm not meeting you one-on-one. Or maybe they're saying, I'm going to meet you a year from now, 6 months from now. That's not what God says either. I don't have the scripture in front of me to quote, but I'm telling you that in the Bible, it says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. So if that person is telling you, yeah, I'll meet with you directly one-on-one a year from now, that is 365 suns that are going down on your anger. That is 365 chances for the devil to take a stronghold on both of you, to harden your hearts so that reconciliation, restoration, and healing never happen. And if you agree to doing this, if you say, okay, yeah, I'll respect your boundaries, that's not a boundary, by the way. God, I'm talking biblically here, right? There's no boundary that says I'll see you in a year, because that is how, when the sun goes down on your anger, the devil gets a stronghold. And the number one reason for relationships ending, terminating, I'm talking about all kinds of relationships, is because of a hardened heart. I don't care what the circumstance is or what the situation is. Once that heart hardens, the devil has got a hold of you, and the devil wins. And I know you don't want the devil to win. There's no way you want that devil to win, right? And Jesus is not about dividing and isolating or condemning either, right? Jesus is about healing, restoration, peace, love. So that's the hard part, is if they are unwilling to do any of these things, if they are unwilling to meet with you one-on-one, if they're unwilling to bring two objective witnesses, not participants, into it to see if we can have some peace there, if they are unwilling to have the church get involved, the fourth thing is to treat them like a non-believer, a sinner, and you got to make room for God to deal with that person. And I know that's the hardest part right there, right? Nobody wants to walk away from someone, but someone who has a hardened heart, you might as well be talking to the wall. Drop in comments if you understand what I'm talking about. Have you ever tried to reason with or have a conversation with somebody who has a hardened heart? And what happens is, we see this in a lot of abuse situations, is you're pouring your heart out. You are sharing how you feel, and they're not receiving it at all. You are apologizing. They're not even hearing it. If somebody asked them, did they apologize? They would probably say, no, they didn't apologize. Well, because maybe you didn't say what they wanted you to say. We don't know, because if they haven't talked to you directly is the point, right? So I hope this helps you navigate very painful, unhealthy relationships, conflict, grievances, sin someone's committing against you in a healthier way. And I want to point out that, because I had this experience, if you don't go in this order that I told you, again, maybe Steve, we put it up there, go directly to the person, bring in, then if that doesn't work, bring in 2 or 3 other witnesses. If that doesn't work, bring in the church. If that doesn't work, then you must walk away. Those are 4 steps, right? Because what happens, this is what happened to me, is I skipped, even I went against my better judgment. I knew the ideal, and even the pastor involved knew that the ideal meeting was between me and this person. And this person was unwilling to meet me one-on-one. And so this person said, no, I want this other person to come in, someone I didn't even know, someone who's not part of our church. And the meeting was a mess. It was a mess because we did not follow God's word. God's very specific on how to deal with it. We jumped from step 1 to step 3. There was never any direct communication, one-on-one, in person. And we jumped to involving the church, involving outsiders who thought that they were participants, and it was a mess. So do not do this. Do not doing it that way, skipping all these steps or taking the steps out of order will cause dissension, division, distraction from the original issue that you need to talk about privately with that person, right? Triangulation, bringing in somebody else who wants to get their say in, who wants to be able to, whatever, get their voice heard. That's triangulation. Triangulation is not from God. That is the devil's tactic. Notice in none of these steps does God say, ghost, block, stonewall, silent treatment, run away, seek revenge, or have somebody else speak on your behalf. These are the devil's tactics. Don't fall for it. And remember, you are worth it.